Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a look at a concept you probably think you know pretty well, stoning. But we're going to explore it in a way that's, well, quite different. We're talking about the inner act of stoning.
Right. Something deeply personal, actually. It shifts the whole idea from, a physical act to an internal process. Very relevant.
Exactly. And this deep dive, it's based on a really fascinating metaphysical interpretation of a key passage. John chapter 10, verses 25 through 31.
And our main source here is the work of Dr. Roy. We're drawing from his book, The Divine Dance and Rhythm, a metaphysical book of John, and also some notes he put together called QuitStoningYourself.pdf.
Yeah, quite a title. So our mission for you today is really to unpack these verses through that unique lens Dr. Roy provides.
We want to uncover some, I think, profound insights about spiritual identity, what eternal life really means in this context.
And, crucially, how we might unknowingly be, well, stoning ourselves, or others even now.
So yeah, get ready maybe to shift your perspective a bit on some ancient wisdom. It's about finding inner freedom, really.
Let's dive in. Okay, so John chapter 10, verses 25 through 30. This is where Jesus talks about his works, his sheep, his oneness with the Father.
Familiar stuff for many, maybe?
Right, but we're going into the metaphysical meaning, like Dr. Roy presents it, which offers a pretty fresh take.
Yeah, and the first thing he highlights is about Jesus's works. It's a key distinction he makes.
Okay.
These weren't meant to impress people, not at all. They were purely to express.
Express what, exactly?
The natural fruit of his spiritual awareness. Dr. Roy says they flowed from an inner sanctuary, that deep place of truth and connection, not from the outer courts of law and effort. So not about external validation or just following religious rules.
That makes a lot of sense. So the people who were living from outer perception, that outer court understanding, he mentions they couldn't believe.
They couldn't because they were always looking for external signs, for proof outside themselves.
Instead of recognizing the inner truth that Jesus was sort of embodying.
Exactly. It's all about where your focus is, isn't it? Are you looking out there or are you connecting with that inner knowing?
Right. And this connects to another really big point Dr. Roy makes about language itself.
Oh, yeah. The translations.
He claims that the word Messiah in Daniel and anointed in the story of David, they were actually wrongly translated.
That's a pretty bold assertion, right? A mistranslation of such key terms.
It really is. So how does that change things if it's not just semantics?
Well, according to Dr. Roy, the correct translation is consecrated. And this isn't just swapping words. It completely redefines it.
Okay, consecrated, what does that mean in his view?
A consecrated person is someone who has spiritually seen and heard spiritual truth, what he calls the logos of the word.
The logos.
Yeah.
Like, let's pause there. In this context, that's not just word, is it?
No, not just a word. It's more like the divine intelligence, the underlying reason or truth of reality, the voice within. So a consecrated person is someone who stays in contact with their divine mind, connected to that logos.
That definitely broadens the scope. And what I found striking is how universal he makes this. He says Jesus was a consecrated messenger, sure, but just like Dr. Roy himself or Kay Fairchild or, quote, many others.
Right. Their purpose, like Jesus's, is to awaken the logos voice within every man. It's less an exclusive title.
And more like an invitation, a potential we all have.
Absolutely an invitation. Which helps understand that line, "You are not of my sheep."
Yeah, that can sound harsh, like rejection.
But Dr. Roy says, no, it's not judgment. It's just identifying an incompatibility between awakened awareness and carnal understanding.
Yeah.
They're just not on the same frequency, basically.
So if the sheep aren't literal followers, but represent our thoughts gathered into spiritual awareness, how do you actually tune in? How do you hear that shepherd voice?
Good question. It's not about works or being worthy, he stresses that. It's about resonance, intuition. My sheep hear my voice means those who are already awakened, they just recognize the logos. It clicks.
It's not something you learn intellectually.
No. He uses the Greek word ginosko, which means to know that you know, like a deep inner certainty, a oneness awareness.
Ginosko.
Yeah. So the sheep follow because the voice within them resonates with the voice in him. Both have the same voice. It's automatic, intuitive, no effort needed, just awareness.
That really does offer a different angle on eternal life, too, doesn't it?
Completely. Dr. Roy states it flat out. Eternal life is not a reward. It is a state of awareness.
Wow. Just let that sink in.
Right. It shifts everything. It's not something you earn or wait for. It's about living now from that union with divine mind.
Seeing with the single eye, as he puts it.
Exactly. Knowing you've always been part of the one. So to perish, that just means living in the illusion of separation, being unaware of that oneness.
Which implies then that once you're awakened to that, your sacred self cannot be lost.
Because it was never separate to begin with. It's inherent.
So when Jesus says, "No man shall pluck them out of my hand,"
it means separation is literally impossible once that union is realized. Nothing external can break that inherent connection.
and the hand itself isn't physical.
No, metaphysically, Dr. Roy says the Father's hand symbolizes the holding consciousness, the whole field of divine awareness. It's the fabric of being, really. No law, no outer system, no fearful thought can pull you out of that source once you know it.
Okay, this is leading us straight to maybe the biggest statement. I and Father are one.
The core.
And Dr. Roy insists this is not exclusive to Jesus. He calls it a universal statement of spiritual identity. What does that mean for us, for you listening?
It's revolutionary, isn't it? It means there's no separation between that logos voice within you and the divine mind it flows from.
So
the implication is huge. Divine mind and the visible son or daughter are one expression, one being, one mind, and one power. That's Dr. Roy's wording.
one being, one mind, one power.
When you're spiritually aware, you can actually say that boldly. I am one being. I exist the visibleness of breath God Spirit. It shifts belief in Jesus.
To recognizing that same divine essence within yourself. Wow.
That's the ultimate invitation, isn't it? Not just belief about him, but recognizing that same voice inside and saying, yes, I and Father are one.
So what then is the real job, the true calling of these consecrated messengers?
It's actually quite simple, according to Dr. Roy, but incredibly powerful. Just point people to who they really are and who Father Spirit Breath really is.
Not predicting the future or anything like that?
No, not forecasting global events. It's simply to remind people of what has always been true of them, to wake them up to it.
And the goal?
To root out, pull down, destroy, and throw down the old awareness, that illusion of being separate, and then build and plant the logos in rich, receptive soil.
So it transforms the inner world of the person who hears and awakens. That's the focus.
Exactly, regardless of what's happening out there.
Okay, now let's shift gears a bit to the very next verse, John 10:31. The mood changes drastically.
Yeah, it does. Then the Jews took up stones again to stone him.
But Dr. Roy's interpretation here, again, it goes way beyond the literal.
Oh, absolutely. Metaphysically, this act, the stoning, it symbolizes the inner resistance of carnal awareness when confronted with spiritual truth that exposes its falseness.
So it's a metaphor for that internal pushback we feel.
Precisely. Something we all experience when our cozy beliefs get shaken up.
And the Jews in this context.
Yeah.
Not just a historical group.
No, he uses it as a metaphor for those parts of our own mind. The religious thoughts, legalistic reasoning, inherited belief systems, still stuck in that outer court way of thinking, tied to external rules, traditions.
Right. And to take up stones, that's not about actual rocks either.
No. It means to gather hard, fixed beliefs. Those mental constructs we build from tradition, doctrine, ego, the things we use to try and silence that inner voice of spirit.
He calls them dead things, unmovable, unbending.
Yeah, representing a state of consciousness that just can't receive anything new, any spiritual movement. So it reacts.
It reacts.
With accusation, defense, or outright rejection. Sound familiar?
Yeah. That sounds like the inner stoning, that moment inside us.
Happens within every individual when breath spirit begins to stir the awareness and awaken us to truths that contradict what we were taught.
It's fascinating how he turns that literal violence into a mirror for our own inner conflicts. I mean, how often do we maybe silently stone ourselves with doubt or guilt when a new idea feels too liberating?
That's such a vital connection to make. Think about it. The logo speaks, I and Father are one, and that old awareness, that inner critic or Pharisee.
It screams blasphemy.
Right, because as Dr. Roy points out, religious awareness has created a God outside of man. Separate, distant.
And declaring union threatens that whole system.
The whole system of separation. That's why the religious leaders opposed Jesus, Dr. Roy argues. It undermined their man-contacted law, their established order, their control.
So to stone the messenger within, that's basically mentally rejecting the truth of our own oneness.
Choosing that familiar, comfortable separation over the maybe unsettling truth of our divine identity. It's that inner voice digging its heels in.
Dr. Roy says this still happens constantly today.
Oh, absolutely. People still metaphorically stone the truth. They don't pick up rocks, but they
throw verses, doctrines, arguments.
Exactly. Labeling people who are waking up as deceived, heretical, arrogant. Why? To defend those old religious structures that are frankly crumbling under the weight of truth.
He gives that really pointed example, too. Someone saying, well, I don't know about you, but I am a sinner.
That's a perfect example of stoning themselves, isn't it? It reinforces separation. It rejects their own inherent divinity.
It does. But here's the hopeful part.
The Logos voice continues to speak. It just keeps going.
Dr. Roy emphasizes it never retaliates. It never defends itself.
It just walks through the crowd of resistance because it knows truth cannot be killed. It can only be ignored temporarily. It's persistent.
So for you listening, whether you identify as a consecrated messenger or just a spiritual student, that inner voice of resistance, that inner Pharisee, it will pop up.
Absolutely. It'll sound like guilt or fear or shame, telling you you're not worthy or this truth is too big, too arrogant for you.
But the key is...
Now you recognize it. You see what it is. Those are just stones, mental constructs.
Let them fall.
Just let them fall. Because Dr. Roy says, once you no longer fear the stones, you are free to speak as Spirit speaks.
And the conclusion is powerful. When you finally say, I and the Father are one, not only are you not blaspheming,
you are telling the greatest truth a man or woman can ever know. That's freedom, true inner freedom.
Wow. What a journey we've taken, really. From a biblical passage many think they know,
to this really quite radical metaphysical interpretation, showing how these ancient texts can speak directly to our inner lives today.
We've seen how Jesus' claims about identity, his sheep, eternal life, maybe aren't exclusive at all.
But actually universal truths about our own divine nature, just waiting for us to wake up to them.
And how that dramatic stoning scene isn't just history.
No, it's a potent metaphor for that inner resistance, those fixed beliefs we all encounter when truth starts knocking.
So the big question for you listening right now, what does it really mean to stop stoning yourself?
Yeah, what would it take to really let go of those old beliefs, that guilt, that fear that keeps you feeling separate from your own inherent truth?
What would it actually feel like moment by moment to live from that awareness, that knowing, I and Father are one?
And how might that begin to change your reality right here, right now?
Because this deep dive, it's not just about understanding some old text.
No, it's about remembering who you truly are.